8000 BC, in the middle of the night, a huge spaceship suddenly appears in the sky and starts to fall over a group of people living in the desert. Everyone in the town runs away in fear, but one guy can't stop looking at the light beam coming from the ship. In Egypt later, in the 1920s, construction was going on at the base of the pyramids. When a well-known professor from another country comes with his daughter Catherine, one of the archaeologists takes him right away to see what they found, a group of strange cover stones. While this is going on, Catherine is looking at some smaller objects and becomes very interested in a gold necklace that has the Eye of Ra on it. The crowd starts to yell when the miners lift up something even bigger, a huge metal ring in the shape of a jackal's head that was buried underneath. In 1994, Catherine is back in the United States to hear Daniel, an expert on ancient Egypt and its languages, give a talk. His advice to a group of scholars is to think about his ideas about how the pyramids were built in the first place. Doesn't work because he makes fun of them, and they all leave before he can finish. Soon after, Lieutenant Kowalski stops Daniel as he tries to leave the hotel and makes him get into a car where Catherine is waiting. She gives Daniel a job offer without giving him any more information. When Daniel hesitates, she tells him that he has been kicked out of his apartment because his grants have run out, so this is his chance to prove his ideas. Daniel finally agrees. At the same time, two police officers search for Colonel O'Neill in a quiet neighborhood. He is currently in the bedroom of his dead child. His kid died while playing with his dad's gun, and O'Neill never got over it. The police officers tell O'Neill that he has been revived while he is depressed. Soon after, Daniel and Catherine enter an Air Force camp under a mountain in Colorado. Daniel is shown the cover stones that were found in 1928 in a lab, which he finds very interesting. But as soon as he sees the translation on the board, he starts changing all the mistakes right away. The sentence that came out of it says, "A million years into the sky is Ra, the sun god, sealed and buried for all time in his Stargate." Daniel is still working hard on translating the rest of the tablets 2 weeks later, but he still can't find a language that fits the symbols on them. He goes outside to get a drink because he needs a break and sees a guard reading a newspaper story about the Orion constellation. Because the picture makes Daniel think of something, he runs back to the lab, gets a marker, and starts drawing lines between the stars and the constellation. Then, he climbs up the stair ladder to look at his picture next to one of the glyphs and make sure they match. Daniel goes to a meeting with the scientists and officers and spreads out a star chart on the table. He then explains that the symbols on the tablets were constellations put in a specific order to make a map with 7 points that show how to get to a certain place. Then he draws a picture to show that in any three-dimensional space, you need 6 points to find the exact location of a goal. The 7th point, which he shows with a picture of 2 people standing next to a V, is the beginning. The others say that the sign isn't on the device. When Daniel asks what they mean, the wall rises to show that they have the Stargate that was found in Egypt. It is made of a mineral that isn't found on Earth. The Stargate is turned on in the control room, and it starts to spin around. All of the constellation signs are shown up close on a screen, and Daniel sees one that looks like a pyramid with a circle on top of it. He takes out a pen and draws 2 stick figures next to it to show that his idea is correct. Right away, they program the 7th sign into the gate. This sets off condition red, which means that everyone has to leave. All of a sudden, there is a shaking, and the computer screens go crazy as Earth is shown as the starting point. The shaking keeps getting worse, and all of a sudden, the Stargate opens, sending a huge spin outwards in front and back, creating a wall of water. There are orders to send in a probe, which goes up the ramp and stops in front of the gate to send an arm through. The arm keeps moving outward, and then the probe is pulled through the Stargate. The data is put into the computer, and it turns out that the probe has locked onto a point in the Kaliam galaxy. As soon as Daniel looks at the map and says, "It's on the other side of the known universe," the wormhole shuts down and they lose contact. Later, they look at the pictures that the probe sent back. The pictures show a room and another Stargate, so they think that the 2 gates are linked. Readings also show that the world has the right atmosphere for people. Danielle shows them that the signs on the other gate are different from theirs. Although the officers want to give up on the project because they need to do a reconnaissance mission to use the other gate, Danielle tells them he's happy to go do the job himself. As the team starts getting ready for the task, O'Neill goes to look at the fossils of the men with jackal heads, while a boss tells him a secret goal. At the same time, Catherine walks up to Daniel and offers to give him her Ra necklace as a lucky charm. The team goes into the gate room, where the vortex is already open once everyone is ready. The cargo rover is the first thing they send, and it goes right through the vortex. Then the men cross the gate too. As they are moved across the universe, all the lights around them amaze them. The team suddenly finds itself in a dark room with the other gate. With the help of some lights, they check out the room and exit through a hallway. Outside, they find themselves in the middle of a desert, in a building that looks just like the Great Pyramid of Giza. Daniel needs to adjust the Stargate, but he says he can't do it yet because he needs to know the order of alignment. He thought that this gate would also have tablets, but it doesn't, so they need to find those first. When Daniel got them stuck, the troops got mad at him. Kowalski pushed Daniel to the ground, but O'Neill stopped him before things got worse. O'Neill goes back into the pyramid and opens a secret panel on the rover. He then sets up a cylinder-shaped device and starts arming it to make a bomb, while the team sets up camp. He adds a timer when it's done and stops when he sees someone coming up behind him. Kowalski declares that the camp is ready as he closes the panel. They make Daniel feel bad back at camp and throw his bag out on the sand for getting them stuck here. Daniel starts the boring job of picking up his things, but stops to get a snack first. As he looks around, he sees some big animal paw prints in the sand and decides to follow them. This leads him to a big animal-eating desert plants. There are no people around, but the animal is on a leash. Daniel walks up to the animal, pets it softly, and offers it his candy. O'Neill and the others show up at that time and tell him to stay away from possible danger. Daniel tells them that the leash shows that the animal is tamed, but when the troops show up, the thing gets scared and starts running away, tripping Daniel on its collar as it does so. Daniel is being pulled through the hot sand for miles while the beast runs, and he finally passes out. Soon after, the beast licks Daniel's face, waking him up. The troops finally catch up to him and free him from the leash. A noise starts to be heard, and when the team gets to the top of the dune, they see a lot of people mining some tall rock towers. When a boy called Skara sees the soldiers, he yells a warning, which stops everyone else. The team then decides to go up to them. People bow down to Daniel when they see his necklace. When O'Neill tries to shake Skara's hand to show peace, Skara yells and runs away. The mineral being mined is scanned by a guard, who sees that it is the same mineral that was used for the gate. Around that time, Skara comes back with the boss, Kasuf. He bends and says a few words, but Daniel can't understand him even though he can recognize some of the sounds. Then Shori, Kasuf's daughter, and some other women offer the team some dishes and drinks. Daniel then gives Kasuf some candy, which he takes a few bites of and enjoys. The team is being asked to stay with them because of this conversation. O'Neill agrees, but he also tells the troops who stayed in the camp to keep the area safe. Soon after, the group is going with the caravan through the desert until they reach a big stone city. The other people find it funny when Daniel sneezes and blows his nose because he has allergies. Skara even takes his handkerchief as a joke. When they get inside the city, everyone bows again and shows them a big disc of the Eye of Ra. Daniel tells them that they believe the Egyptian sun god Ra sent the team here. All of a sudden, everyone starts running around. O'Neill gets a call from camp, but the noise makes it impossible to hear. It's getting really windy at the troops' camp, so they decide to gather their things and run inside the pyramid. People are rushing to the city gates to close them. They run after them and punch a few people before taking 2 men hostage because they think they are being caught. Skara steps in and takes O'Neill to the top of the wall to show him that a sandstorm is coming. Finally getting it, O'Neill tells the team that they'll be stuck here for a while because the people have only been protecting the city. The people have a big party in the evening and they give the team some new food to try. Daniel eats an animal that looks strange and is excited to say that it tastes like chicken. After that, Daniel tries to talk by drawing some Egyptian symbols on the sand, but Kasuf erases the writing right away with his foot. It looks like drawing the symbols isn't allowed. Following this, Daniel is taken to a different room and cleaned up before being left alone. Shaori walks in all of a sudden and starts taking off her clothes, which scares Daniel. That's not necessary, he tells her, and he tries to get her to leave, but Kasuf is waiting outside for them to do the dirty. Daniel takes Shaori back into the tent and hangs around to make it look like they're busy. He doesn't want to offend Kasuf or get her in trouble. In the sand, Daniel draws a pyramid. Shaori then adds a circle, which shows that she has seen that circle before. Daniel talks her into going with him. The guards in the pyramid still can't get the radio to work though. The tower starts to shake when, all of a sudden, a bright light shines down on it. A huge spaceship rises in the sky and slowly covers the pyramid from top to bottom. As the troops get tense, they draw their weapons and spread out to look into it. But something starts attacking them in the dark. They knock out one fighter at a time, and there is no sound until there is only one man left. When he gets up, he sees a guard with the face of Anubis. There is a glowing sarcophagus in another room, and a hand comes out of it. This mystery person and another guard drag the soldiers into it. When Skara gets back to the city, she sees O'Neill smoking and is surprised by the fire. O'Neill gives him the lighter and some cigarettes, and Skara tries to smoke like O'Neill, but he coughs. Skara reaches for a gun, but O'Neill slaps him away. Skara is scared and runs away. While that is going on, Shaori takes Daniel to a cave with a lot of earth signs written on the wall. Shaori corrects Daniel's speech as he reads them in the Egyptian he knows, which finally helps him learn the language. Returning to O'Neill, he makes hand signals to ask Skara and the other boys about Daniel. The boys keep making the same movements without understanding. But when O'Neill talks about chicken and acts like he's going to sneeze, Skara finally gets it. It gives Daniel's jacket to its creature, which starts following the smell. And everyone else does too. O'Neill finds Daniel in the cave a few minutes later, and he starts to tell O'Neill everything he's learned from the writing. A space tourist ran away from a world that was dying and was looking for a way to live longer. As in the beginning, when he got to Earth, he found people who were very simple. This stranger was Ra, who took on a human body and made himself king. He used the Stargate to bring thousands of people to this planet to work in the mines. With that ore, he could make all the technology needed to live forever. After that, there was a revolt on Earth, and the Stargate was buried there. Ra banned reading and writing so people wouldn't remember the truth and start another revolt. As Daniel talks, Kowalski looks around the cave and finds a round stone that looks like the one in the Earth Stargate's middle. Daniel is happy because this is what he's been missing. He thinks the people must have hidden it here in case the Earth Stargate ever turns on again. Daniel can't see the seventh sign because the stone is broken and worn down. Because O'Neill is sick of it all, he tells them they need to go back to the tower. The team leaves, and Skara and his friends follow. They get scared as soon as they see the spaceship, so they go into the area with their guns drawn, while Skara's group sneaks around and looks through the windows. They find the team's camp gear inside, but no one is seen. The strange guard suddenly emerges, and the soldier is knocked out by his staff before he can do anything. Since this staff can shoot like a gun, the guard starts shooting everywhere in the room while the rest of the team runs away. When Daniel and O'Neill get to the room where the bomb was, it's gone. Suddenly, the round part of the roof opens up and rings lower as a light beam starts to shine. 3 guards show up and point their staff guns. Daniel and O'Neill put down their weapons and were sucked through the light beam. They arrived in a throne room whose walls had been opened up to let in the sunlight. The boss then comes up with the bomb right at that moment. Then, one by one, they take off their masks, showing that they are people and not supernatural. It turns out that Ra is the boss. When the guards kneel down in front of him, O'Neill moves quickly to push one of them back and grab his staff. Following this, he shoots and kills one of the guards. But before he can turn around, the other guard points his gun at him. Daniel jumps between them and gets shot instead. To protect Ra, a group of kids forms a wall around him. Then the guard gets his staff back and starts beating O'Neill up. Ra tells the guard to stop, and he walks over to Daniel to look at the necklace. Following that, O'Neill and the other troops are thrown into a water pit. Once Skara's group gets outside, they look through the troops' bags for weapons when they see 2 gliders leave the pyramid and fly away. Kasuf also sees the gliders in the city and sounds the warning, making people run and hide. The gliders shoot blasts all over the city as they come down on it. Kasuf gets down on his knees to beg for forgiveness, but the gliders keep shooting, killing many people and causing terrible damage to the town. Gliders fly by a few times and then leave. Skara's group then comes back and sees all the damage and death. Kasuf tells Skara that this is what Ra will do to her, because she helped the strangers. Soon after, Daniel wakes up in the sarcophagus inside the tower and finds that his wound has healed. As soon as he steps out, the tomb shuts itself and a kid with a cat checks on Daniel before leaving. Daniel stays with him until he gets to Ra's room. Ra tells Daniel that he picked humans because their bodies are easy to fix, so Daniel thinks he has been dead. He says they should not have opened the gate again because he will now send the bomb back with a load of a special mineral that will make it 100 times more powerful. He built society, but now he wants to destroy it because they betrayed him. To do this, he needs to take Daniel's necklace. Skara and his group go into the cave to find Shaori and tell her that Ra has called for a meeting with an execution. But Shaori tells them the story Daniel gave so they can finally understand the truth about their people. Soon after, everyone in the city gathered around the tower for the meeting. Ra and his guards show up wearing masks. They give Daniel a staff and tell him to kill the troops. That's when Shaori, Skara, and the boys mix with the crowd. Skara shines the lighter in Daniel's face to draw his attention to the fact that they have the soldiers' guns. Daniel finds out about the plan and acts like he's going to kill his friends. But then, he turns around and shoots the king. Along with the girls, the boys fire their guns, and everyone starts running around in fear as the guards fire their staffs at them. A soldier and a few other people die in the process, but everyone else gets away. Soon after, though, the team gets stuck in a sandstorm, and Daniel passes out. Skara and his friends finally show up and help Daniel get up. They then led the team out of the storm. They finally get to a cave where everyone is hidden. They found guns, and Skara shows them to the soldiers. O'Neill wants to take them all back. Daniel makes O'Neill talk about the bomb because Kowalski says the boys could help them fight. This makes O'Neill very angry for no reason. O'Neill says he was told in secret to look for any signs of trouble and blow up the Stargate if he happened to find any. Daniel tells them about Ra's plan and says that Earth's gate is the real threat and needs to be closed. But Daniel doesn't have the seventh sign yet, so they can't do that. The bomb won't get through because O'Neill says he'll stop it. During this time, Ra is very angry that his guards were not able to catch the team. He then takes a special device and slowly and painfully kills one of his guards. Daniel finds out that everyone in the cave thinks Shaori is his wife. Shaori tells him that he didn't tell anyone that Daniel didn't want her, so Daniel kisses her to show her she's wrong. Daniel wakes up the next morning to find Skara drawing a picture of their win. When Daniel sees the 3 moons, he tries to connect them and realizes that this is a sign for the planet and, by extension, the starting point. They can now go home. After that, the group shoots a guard in the mines, where the citizens are once again being used as slaves. This makes Kasuf and his people very scared. Everyone is shocked when Daniel quickly takes off the guard's mask and shows that it's just a cruel human being holding them captive, not a god. The guards are getting the bomb ready in the tower. The group shows up, claiming to be slaves carrying ore. Once inside, they pull out their weapons and start firing. As more people come into the pyramid to help, a shootout starts. Several men are hurt in the fight, and one of the guards shoots at the door to block it, but O'Neill kills him with a shot. Gliders suddenly leave the tower again and attack the people outside. Kowalski shows them where to hide and how to fight back. They lose some men in the process, so Kowalski gives up as some guards come up behind him. Ra is mad that he's losing the fight in his chambers and tells his men to send the bomb to Earth right away. The team then goes for the bomb, and O'Neill sets it off, saying that he'll stay on this side to blow it up when everyone gets back to Earth. All of a sudden, a guard appears and shoots Shaori, seriously hurting her. Daniel then shoots back and kills the guard. To save her, Daniel picks her up and uses the ceiling opening to get her to the sarcophagus, where she is quickly healed. At the same time, another guard comes out of the opening in the roof and starts fighting O'Neill. Meanwhile, Ra finds Daniel and starts hitting him hard with his artifact glove. There are only 3 minutes left on the bomb, so O'Neill keeps hitting the guard until he beats him and sets off the gem on his hand, which causes the rings to fall. The guard dies when O'Neill puts him under them. The rings also go off in the other room, which distracts Ra and gives Daniel a chance to get the necklace back before the rings take him and Shaori back to the bomb room. Outside, the guards are about to catch all the rebels when all of a sudden, Kasuf shows up with all of his people and kills the guards in seconds. When Ra sees that he is lost, he turns on his rocket and raises it to take him away. O'Neill tries to defuse the bomb in the pyramid but can't because Ra set it up. Luckily, he has a plan. The rings send the bomb through them when they light up again. It then shows up in the spaceship, bursts there, and kills Ra for good. The whole world celebrates, and Skara and the boys give O'Neill a salute. He responds with a salute to show respect. Soon after, Daniel opens the Stargate and gives O'Neill the necklace so that he can give it to Catherine, since he has chosen to stay here with Shaori. Through the bright lights, the troops finally get home after crossing the gate. Subscribe. For more videos like this, turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.